lovelies. This is Paisley Wild, and we are off adventuring into the spaces between. Hope you guys are having just a fantastic day. That ends in Y. I suppose this is when I should be doing a mic check, right? Can y'all hear me? I think you can hear me. If you can't, please let me know, because I'm just talking to myself at this point. So yeah. What am I doing? I gotta tell you, I've been gone for 2 weeks, and I don't know what I'm doing anymore. It's just gone out the brain. That's all there is to it. Oh, maybe if I turned up my volume on my headset, I would hear something. Oh, there you go! Yay! So, what am I doing? Yes, The Spaces Between. I'm Paisley Wild. Broadcast live, Truth Frequency Radio, iHeartRadio, TuneIn, and TalkStream Live. I'm glad I have a couple. I don't know. Anyways, yeah, like, subscribe, and no matter how you are listening, stop in and say hi in one of the chat rooms, or you can always send me the email at wildepaisley@gmail.com. That's wildepaisley@gmail.com. If you want to check out what's going on in my world, you can always go to the website. That's www.paisleywild.com. If you do go, you'll note that I've been slowly adding some stuff as I've come out of my COVID coma. Okay, I joke, I jest. It wasn't actually a coma, but dang, is the COVID an interesting bug. That's all there is to it. And yeah, as I've been healing from that particular infection, it's been interesting. So I want to talk about it a little bit tonight. And then let's see. One of the last things I did before I completely lost my brain is I wrote an article to go into a regional publication. It's published 8 times a year on the Sabbats. So the next one is for Samhain, which is at the end of October. There we go. Can't spell anymore. I actually almost I'm not spell and make logical sense. It has been impacted, but excuse me. Yeah, with Metaphysical Times, I submitted an article, and by golly, they published me. And so, if you guys want to check that out, link will be in the chat room right there, or you can always go to the website or the Facebook page, or ask me, and I'll try to remember. And then, what else? I'll probably put it in the show notes too. That way, I don't forget completely. And anyways, it's just a really great regional or local publication that is there for a metaphysical resource. Man, there's so many people out there looking for other information, and they're not just looking for what the mainstream is offering. So many people are looking for a connection to what's out there in Metaphysical Times, metaphysical-times.com. A lot of great information, great articles. You can subscribe, you can read it online. There's a couple different things. Let's see, what else? Trying to think. Phone line is open, so if you do want to give me a call, you can do so. That number is 213-233-3998. Or if you're across the pond in the UK, it is 44203-393-2871. And then, let's see, if you want to just support the radio habit, which you can do, go to $TheSpacesBetween, and you can do that. And then as long as you're researching, make sure you check out iLife.com. iLife is the official sponsor for Truth Frequency Radio. Combines the unleaded, non-psychoactive properties of the ayahuasca with high-quality CBD to help support you. And I gotta tell you, it helps. So does the oak leaf tea. That helps. And so does a doctor that isn't afraid to prescribe things that other people say you shouldn't. Now, so tonight I want to talk about COVID dreams more, the dream side of it, the dreams that I had or have been having, and how it's common for dreams to become more intense during a time of trauma, which makes sense because it's just your mind or your subconscious trying to figure out what's going on in the world and try to make sense of it and find the logic. But I didn't find the COVID to be quite so traumatic. It was emphatic, which is a totally different thing, but it wasn't trauma related. So trauma to me is a lot different than being sick. Leo asks, how is your weather? Well, it is a wee bit chilly out. I think tonight our high is 40. Tomorrow our high is 60. So if you're local and you want to do the pumpkin patch, tomorrow would be a great day for it. It just would be. And it's I don't know, it's been just kind of fall weather here. A little rain, a little colder. The mountains have a little bit of a dusting, which is pretty normal for this time of year. The caterpillars, I don't know if you guys subscribe to the caterpillar theory, but supposedly the less orange there is on one of the little woolly caterpillars, the worse the winter will be, the harder the winter. Well, yesterday I got to see a little woolly caterpillar, just a little bitty buddy, and about 2 inches long and fluffy, and about a quarter inch of him was orange. The rest of him was black and fuzzy, and if you follow the caterpillar theory, we're gonna get snow here this year. So yeah, no, winter is here. Yep. Hey Elaine, I'm sorry you're convalescing, sort of. On the one hand, I'm sorry. On the other hand, I hope your foot's feeling better. And the pupper sometimes just has to have that. I've got a couple kitties that need to go get their short hairs trimmed because, man, they've got some tood. Goodness. If you haven't seen them yet this evening, I'm surprised because I've had Drama and Merlin and Yeti all across my desk here just since going live. Huh. Let's see. So, dreams, COVID dreams. And if you ask questions, well, please do. So I'm trying to get back in the saddle here. So, when it comes to dreams, just generally, and links in the show notes, of course. And yeah, I'm holding up okay. Links in the show notes, yes. And let's see. Dreaming. So generally speaking, when we fall asleep at night, we have several different stages of sleep. We've got the non-dreaming sleep. There's kind of a weird state of light sleep that's between being awake and being falling asleep or deeper sleep. The onset of sleep and the deep restorative sleep. And this article is from Yale, oddly, and the author talks about how, in their opinion, sleep is similar to a carousel horse. So as you go sleep through the night, your sleep patterns are going up and down. Rapid eye movement or REM sleep, your eyes often will dart back and forth really quickly. Your heart rate and your blood pressure will rise and lower, and your brain activity becomes more and more intense. And supposedly, you're supposed to have about a quarter of your night's sleep should be in REM sleep, and that should come every 90 minutes or so when you're in that deeper sleep, and it should be a little bit more intense as you get towards the end of the night, as you're getting ready to wake up. And sometimes the duration of those particular dreams goes from just a few moments to 30 or 45 minutes. And so those are the dreams that you're more likely to remember if you wake up during them. And now, if you do not remember your dreams, that doesn't mean you didn't actually have them. Just so you know, it just means you're not remembering them. So, the medical world often feel that so many of the things that we dream about or experience don't really have a lot of meaning in real life. For those of us in the know, we know that dreams mean something. They just do. And um, so this is why we talk about having a dream diary and kind of checking to see what dreams are, what they mean, and yeah. And so, even though you can't necessarily say, "Oh, I'm having crazy dreams, so I must have had a rough day," or I'm anxious or something, it ebbs and flows, just like anything else. Um, for instance, I've had some pretty strange dreams when mini me has been watching cartoons. Just because sometimes the suggestive nature of what's going on in the background can impact what you experience in your dreams. That doesn't necessarily mean something there, um, although sometimes the ambient noise gives a different perspective to the archetypes that you're experiencing in your dreams. So just be aware. um, excuse me. And so, okay, so this coughing thing I've got going on. Apparently, with COVID, there's potential for a slight paralysis of your vocal cords, which I didn't know. I should have, I suppose, but I didn't. Excuse me. And it's similar to postnasal drip. That's something I apparently have, is a little bit of postnasal drip, because hey, it's fall. Seasons change. I actually get sick this time of year anyways. But with the COVID, not only am I having that postnasal drip, but on the recovery part of the COVID, I'm dealing with that slight, really, really, really minor paralysis of the vocal cords. So I'm like, all the time clearing my throat. It's frustrating. So it's one of the apparently long-term effects that I get to deal with. It's very exciting. Now, I did choose not to have the vaccine after talking to my doctor because she felt that it would behoove me to not get the vaccine. Because some of the potential side effects and ramifications with the vaccine and some of my autoimmune issues, they don't mesh well. And it was going to be safer for me to actually just have the COVID if I were to have the COVID. And this is my second time with COVID. The first time was when COVID first came out, so it'd be COVID-19-alpha, whatever you want to call it. And of course, I can't find a Kleenex. And so, that was a really mild case. We were sick. We were all sick. Like 3 months of sick. And I say mild case because it was just sick, you know. And this time around, Mini-Me brought it home from school, which is fantastic. I love that she likes to share. It was really interesting because I could see her being sick, and she had the triple-digit fevers and just wasn't feeling good and such. And I noticed I was kind of feeling a little funky. That was like 2 weeks ago, 2.5 weeks ago. Shoot, almost 3 weeks ago now. And paying attention to Mini-Me and making sure she's doing better, and staying in touch with her doctor and everything. Being responsible. Responsibility. Taking responsibility for my actions and making sure she's taken care of, right? Well, about the time she started getting better, I noticed I wasn't. And so about a week went by, and I noticed I was just gradually getting a little bit worse. And so this is true regardless of what kind of treatments you have or what kind of illness you have or any of that stuff. Sometimes the medicine doesn't work, and that's why there have been breakthrough cases and such. And so sometimes, regardless of all the things you do right, you still get sick because it happens. Our bodies are made to build up and break down over and over and over again. And a way to build up our own personal immune systems is to get sick occasionally and get over it and move on. So for me, I got COVID-19. I think it was the Delta version. Ooh, boy, is it a doozy. I do taste better now. I've actually had a whole cup of coffee today, which, trust me, that's weird. I generally drink I was almost a pot of coffee a day 2 weeks ago. Oh, man. Those are the days. Coffee just doesn't taste good. What's in my coffee cup tonight? Vanilla chai. Chai tea. I like chai, so yeah. Actually, if you look up the ingredients for a chai tea, a good chai tea, you'll see a lot of those same spices and such have some really great protective properties. So, yeah, I'm drinking my medicine. Um, anyways, I ended up getting sicker and sicker and sicker. And it was, you know, interesting because I knew I was getting sick. I could tell. I was getting the fevers, and then I started breaking out in hives, which was weird. I had no idea. COVID now has hives. You become allergic to yourself, and I'm dealing with some leftover rash and hives there. And I got worse. Called my doctor a week and a half ago, and I'm like, hey, so I think I'm having a reaction to some of my medications or something. I felt icky, but not like sick. And so she's like, well, you gotta go get the COVID test. And I didn't want to because there's so many statistics flying around right now. If I'm sick, I'm sick. I don't want to be a statistic about it. I don't know if that makes any sense. But it's just, don't use my illness as part of your political game. That just irritates the crap out of me. Honestly. Just, it does. And, excuse me. So, after, I wasn't going to, and then it's like, nope, I'm sick. Yeah. So I went and did the drive-through lane, to get the quick test, and they test you first thing in the morning, and they have the results by that evening. Sure enough, I had it. And by the time I got home, I shouldn't have been driving. I was a woozies. The fever was quite high. Yeah, it was bad. And it was interesting because I felt like crap. Like just mush me into the ground, and just I was so done. So done. And say hi, drama. So I ended up fevers. I had the sweats. Yeah, I was sick. And yeah, exactly. And the kitties took care of me. And I felt nauseated, but I wasn't actually nauseous. I didn't actually vomit or anything like that. My tummy just wasn't happy with anything. And I couldn't eat. I kept myself hydrated. I knew that was important. And I ended up, I lost 20 pounds, so it's not my recommended diet, but you know what, if that's the way it happens, I'm okay with that. And it's been, actually it's sustaining. I lost the weight, and I am still having it off, yes. And, so, with it, I was sick, and my doctor, prescribed the, remdesivir, I think is what it's called. It's an antiviral type medication, and my doctor is one of those that thinks for herself. The clinic does, yeah. They're independent. They're strong, independent people, and they actually do research. It's awesome. And so with that, I had the treatment, and that night was bad. Oh my stars! I couldn't sleep. I'd sleep for about 2 hours. I'd wake up. I was just uncomfortable. I would sleep in the recliner almost as much as I would in bed, and it was rough. It took about 2 days after my injections that I started feeling better. But even now, my stamina is gone. Walking up and down the stairs, I run out of breath. I got the sinuses now. That tickle in the back of the throat. Yep, it's hard to breathe sometimes at night. So that's kind of an adventure. Um, the weight loss, like I mentioned, yeah, that's pretty cool. But I still have no appetite. And one of those weird side effects, yeah, your taste does go away. And so today is really the first day I've been able to taste much of anything. Um, and it's been interesting. And every time I fall asleep, when I wake up, I feel just a little bit better, a small percentage. And, often when we are injured in any way, shape, or form, it doesn't matter if it's an illness or an injury or a trauma or anything like that, the healing process is very rarely a straight line. I mean, sometimes it is, but generally speaking, it's like doing the cha-cha. 2 steps forward, 1 step back. Sometimes you're staggering forward and then you're falling back. And sometimes it's, your pirouettes and twists and turns. And so I guess one of the things I have to pay attention to is the long-term COVID. Long COVID apparently is a doozy. But my sister ended up with that, so I do need to pay attention. But because she's one of those people that researches everything just obsessively, I have this really great resource that matches my genetics. So it's awesome, right? But one thing I've noticed is every time I sleep, man, do I have the dreams. Just full, living, color, crazy dreams. And there's one I want to talk about, and I'll do that after the break because we're almost there already. And it's just, I don't know. It was just interesting, and they're vivid, very, very vivid, and lucid. So so far the COVID dreams that I've had are very lucid. I know I'm dreaming almost always. Or there's at some point in the dream it's like, oh, I'm dreaming, but I still have to go through the steps and I still have to do these things to get through the dream to learn whatever it is I need to learn. It's like I'm getting these mini lessons while I sleep. And I don't know if that's the download that people have sometimes, if that's what their interpretation is, which I suppose is possible. Think like Neo in The Matrix when he's learning all the martial arts. It's interesting. So I sure hope, as you're keeping your COVID diary, because yes, you should be having a pandemic diary of some sort, right? Sure hope you're writing down your dreams. I've started writing them down because, yeah, they're wild. And some of them, yeah, I don't share. But the one I want to talk about tonight, yeah. We're going to talk about it, and we're going to break down some of the meanings, I think, behind some of the bits and pieces. And we'll see if Drama's going to keep hanging out with me, because holy cow, if she is, we're going to have to adjust things here. She's heavy. She's got her winter cushion on. Meow? Yeah? You got 2 cents to say? Yeah? What do you think? She's not happy that fall is here and winter's coming. She just isn't. She does not like the cold weather. She likes to sunbathe a lot. So, all right, yes, first break, bottom of the hour, and when we come back, we'll talk about my dream just a bit. I'll go through, describe it, and then come back down and break up some of the bits and pieces. So, yeah, it'll be fun. It'll be great. And if you have questions, let me know. And if you call in, oh dear, apparently I missed something. It's been 2 weeks-ish, 3 weeks. So, yeah, when we come back from break, we'll see what's up, and we'll talk about the dream. So see you in a few. forgot the button. Hello, my lovelies. This is Paisley Wild, and we're off adventuring into the spaces between. Hope you guys are having fantabulous Friday evening, Saturday morning, or whatever day it is when you do listen. Tonight's show topic is COVID dreams. I've been out for a couple weeks because I had the COVID, and it's just an interesting illness. And I'm 47, so yeah, in that time I had an anniversary, I had a birthday. I'm 47 years old, 100%. And I've been ill. I've had a few illnesses throughout my life. I've broken some things. I've fallen down. Gravity sucks. Car accidents. It's not like I've never been sick in my life, because I have been. And nothing has been quite like the COVID, though. Really, truly. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. It was just a very different illness. And I don't want to say I knew, even at a cellular level, it was not like other illnesses, but I could feel it different. And when I say that, it's like a knowing that I was sick. I knew I had COVID as soon as probably within a couple days of catching it and starting to develop it. I knew. You just know. It's like your cells are telling you, hey, something's going on here. It's not good. The rash, Lewis, or Leo, excuse me. So yeah, apparently nowadays they say because of the spike proteins within the COVID virus structure, that it can cause a rash on the surface of your skin. I had hives. I'd show you, but no, we don't need to do that. It's not that kind of show. But I ended up with patches, one on each of my arms, on my elbows, about the size of my hand, each one. And it's they're not healed yet. It's going to be a while. I can tell. It's kind of like a weird cross between hives, psoriasis, and eczema all at the same time. And maybe some poison ivy. Doggone it. Drama hopped down because she needed a bath and she left me a hair. Ugh. I got it. Goofy cat. I've heard other people have gotten rashes from coming into contact with those that have had COVID or the vaccine, both. And it's the spike proteins within the COVID structure, the structure, the cell itself. So, yeah, interesting bug. And if you have a chance, and if it's your gig to research into it, do it. Satisfy your curiosity. Do your research. There is a lot of information online that is BS, and there is a lot of information that is real. And the challenge is to learn it and figure out which is correct. So, yeah. Sorry, I'm not going to tell you what to believe. I'm not going to tell you what to do. That's not my gig. It's not my jam. Yeah, it's just interesting. But something that happens in times of crisis is we have dreams. Dreams are a way of processing the crisis. And being sick can very much be a crisis. I mean, often, think about it. If you're not 100%, say you're 50%, just because it's easy to figure out. If you are normally go, and you wake up one morning and you're not go, you're like, no, and you still want to stay in bed because you just feel like crap, right? What doesn't get done? Is it the dishes, the garbage going out, the pets being fed, the kids being fed? Yes, Leo, I am having some static and I'm not quite sure why. It's not quite Morse code, but it's interesting. Hey, good morning, Mary. What doesn't get done if you're sick? Thank you, my dear. And that's kind of the way it is, If you're not 100%, what's going to be missed out on? And that's kind of how I feel. I wrote an article with a 102 temperature, and Lucky saved my bacon, and she proofread it. Thank you, thank you, thank you, my dear. Oh, my stars. Because yeah, I had to actually I had to reread the article because I had no idea what it said. Apparently, it's good stuff. I don't recommend it. I haven't done that kind of thing since I was in college. Oof, I'm old. My brain just doesn't work. Yeah. So, dreams, COVID dreams, and your crisis dreams that you have, whatever the crisis is, illness, injury, moving. You know, one of the leading causes of divorce is moving. Did you know that? Mm-hmm. Moving is hard when you're married to somebody because things, yeah, are complicated. And so is that a crisis situation? Yeah, because your whole life is being upheaved and you're moving things. Literally, you're moving, or a new job. Whew, yeah, retirement. Crisis. Crisis is not always negative. Crisis just means significant and high, high impact. Yeah. Hey, Amethyst, how's it going? Yes, I am still on, my dear. So, anyways, so yeah, crazy dreams. The dream that I want to talk about, and it was a doozy. It was interesting. So, you know how a lot of the post-apocalyptic type movies have kind of a darker cast, or lighting to the scenes? It kind of a grayish, grayed out, darkened type situation. And so that was the lighting. It was like overcast and dreary. Not rainy, just dreary. And a lot of the background was like I was hiking and walking and seeking and searching through a mountainous area that had been either had a forest fire in the past or really heavy logging, or a combination of both. And I say combination of both because on the one hand, everything was bare, but like the trees were missing and there was logging roads and stuff. But there weren't the big giant piles of slash that often happen in a logging endeavor. And things had been growing for a couple of years because there was new growth, and it was a vibrant green, especially against the dark imagery in the dream. And so with that, it was myself and I think 4 other people. Hey, Julia, my dear, how's it going? Sorry I haven't seen you yet. I promise I will. Tomorrow? Tomorrow, maybe. Tomorrow, probably. Tomorrow. Yes. Anyways, in the dream, there's like four other people, adult type peoples, and we're traipsing around the countryside trying to accomplish whatever it is we're trying to accomplish. And in the process, we're walking and we're hiking and trekking, and we end up at this house that's at the bottom of the mountain, if you will, that's been clear cut. And standard 2-story ranch. Nothing exciting. The structure of the house was standard. There was no excitement there. There was no creative architecture or anything. It was just a box, just a house. Very, very functional reform. And we go inside, and you can tell it's 2-story. And honestly, I'm pretty sure this is a house I've lived in, because the layout was very similar to a house that I've lived in. And it was a ranch-style 2-story. And anyways, there's a lot of people there, sort of, but not. And there's these kids that were having problems, and they were sleeping, and they were in beds, but not beds, more pallets than beds, and like a mattress and some blankets on the floor, right? And so with that, we were checking on all these kids that were having problems, and it was like you could see their shadows climbing the walls around us and hanging from the ceiling and clinging and stuff. Um, and it's very, very interesting. It's like the kids are having bad nightmares, and their nightmares are manifesting on the walls around us. And the way to wake them up was to take 2, sometimes 3 raven feathers and break them over the children. And in doing so, their essence or whatever was climbing the walls, literally, would sink back into them. And they would wake up and it'd be like they had just woken up from a really, really long dream. And, different details would pop out in full living color, but most of them were very subdued and and dark. But like a blonde child would be very blonde, or someone wearing a colorful jacket. The jacket would be just pop up and be interesting. Just pop up and be different. And it was a long-term dream. So in the dream itself, I experienced weeks, if not months, and it was, I don't know, it was just really, really bizarre. And there was an oppressive nature to it until the last child had the raven feathers broken, and then it was like a sense of relief, and then I woke up, like everything was done and was taken care of. So it was just, and that was just kind of a quick recap, but yeah, it was just a long dream, and it was an ongoing thing. So generally speaking, if a crow shows up in your dream, crow or raven, they may be trying to convey some sort of message, which I think is quite possible. Sometimes a dream that has ravens specifically, it symbolizes disharmony or misfortune. Sometimes it's death, and sometimes the death is a symbolic one that signals an end to a habit or phase in your life. Okay, well that's interesting. Let's see. If you're dreaming about a forest, which it wasn't quite a forest, but it almost was. I don't know. It wasn't lost, but I knew where I was. So forests are generally indicative of transitions. You should follow your instincts. Sometimes you want to, escape some of the stress and stuff, stuff that you've got going on, and so you're looking for a way to simplify your life, and then also in the need to simplify things, you're feeling weighed down by demands. Sometimes, though, if you're dreaming that you're lost in a forest, it means you're searching through your unconsciousness for a better understanding of yourself, which is interesting. Mountains in general, because mountains are kind of a big deal when it comes to dream work, not just because, well, they're mountains, they're main obstacles. There's big obstacles, major changes. Even if you're just walking over them, it's a big deal. But they're challenges sometimes that you have to overcome. And if you're on the top of the mountain, that means you have achieved and realized your goals, and you've recognized your full potential. Also, though, mountains show a higher realm of consciousness, knowledge, and spiritual truth. And if you're climbing a mountain, it means you're determined and you have solid ambition. Excuse me. So, let's see what else. There's all sorts of stuff here. So, for me, I think the mountain is definitely obstacle. and dealing with higher self in this particular dream. Yep. Determined. Yep. Mm-hmm. Yeah, very determined. Very, very, very determined. Let's see. I want to look at. Hold on. I want to make sure I've got the right. If I dream of a house. Now, houses, a lot of times structures can be archetypical, just like characters sometimes can be an archetype. So, it could just mean a safe place. For this particular dream, I don't think it was a safe space because we weren't necessarily safe there. Generally. But if you do dream about a house, often you're dreaming about your own soul and your own self. Specific rooms often indicate specific parts of your psyche. For instance, if you dream about a house with no walls, maybe that means you feel a lack of privacy, or that you feel like people are looking over your shoulder and just being nosy in your stuff. So, this house that I was in, it wasn't new, it wasn't old, it was just a house, right? So, maybe represented my old beliefs and attitudes and how I used to think and feel, which is very possible. Or maybe there's a situation in my life right now that's bringing about some of those old attitudes and feelings that I had when I lived in that house, which, holy buckets, it's been 35 years? Yeah. If it was kind of dilapidated and messy, so maybe that indicated a chaotic aspect of my own life. Maybe it's emotional and psychological rather than physical clutter. And it's, it was interesting. Now, was the house haunted? No, not technically, but the dreams that those sleepers had were being written on the walls, so it felt haunted. It felt spooky and eerie and just highly emotionally charged. So, does it being interpreted as a haunted house in a dream? Well, it may be that there's some unfinished emotional baggage I need to work with or work on related to my past. Maybe past relatives, or maybe just memories and feelings that I need to work on. Let's see. Haunted houses are kind of yeah. We don't like haunted houses, kids. I want to look here. I want to make sure I've got this one right. Let's see, real quick. The other people that were in the dream were more more archetypical rather than individual people. But they were, if you've seen the line The Witch in the Wardrobe and how everybody is dressed in, the woolen trench coats and stuff as they're getting onto the train, just the dingy darkness, that's about the color of the people or the color of the setting in the background. If you dream that you are saving a child, often it signifies your attempts to save a part of yourself from being destroyed. So it maybe you also have like a project that's not quite working out like you wanted it to, or Maybe you're trying to escape a bit from your daily responsibilities. I mean, there's all that there too. Children have a lot of meaning and symbology in your dreams, so pay attention to them. Um, but yeah, if you're trying to if you dream about saving a child, you're trying to save part of yourself from being destroyed. So in a way, I can't help but think that some of the dreams that I experienced, or this, especially like this, while in the recovery phase, because it's been several days since I had this particular dream, and I still remember it quite vividly. Um, um, it was I don't know, just it was so interesting, so dark and haggard. People are haggard. Oh yes, tiresome, weary of a situation. Very, very much so. Um, but there's perhaps it was the dream itself was my subconscious trying to overcome and heal the parts of me that were damaged when I was sick. So, I'm still in recovery. Apparently, recovery from COVID is not like 2 or 3 days or hours. It could be weeks. I've talked to people that have been without taste for a year, which would be horrible as a kitchen witch and someone who cooks by taste and smell. Not being able to do those things is really hard. Yeah, yeah, it's frustrating. Um, so, yeah, very, very frustrating. Um, the Yeah, it's I don't know. I think some of it is, or some of it was, you know, parts of me overcoming the illness that had infected me. And so is my body trying to say, hey, with each process that I was doing in each of those different rooms, with each of the different children, with the raven feathers and everything, I really think that was my body overcoming that part of the illness. Because every time I was done with the ritual with the raven feathers for each of the children, that part was battled and it was overcome, and they were healing then, and they woke up. Now, even at the end of the dream, when everything was okay, I wasn't like sunshine and rainbows. It was still dark a little bit, but it was like the gray light just before the sun comes up, just before it breaches the horizon. Um, and that feeling or that sensation of that sunrise is just on the cusp. Yeah, cusp is a good word. Let's see if I can find it real quick. Yeah, I got a couple minutes here. We're almost down to the top of the hour already. Crazy. But a cusp often is an in-between place, if you will. And in-between places, when it comes to magic in general, is that's a big deal. Yep, can't spell anymore. It's like you're about ready to take the next step. You're oh, cusp is the word that comes to mind, but it's like a doorway or an entryway, I suppose, would be as much as a good thing or way to put it. It's an opportunity. It's a passageway, transition. Yes, but the background dystopian. That was the word I was looking for earlier. Dystopian. Can't spell. Yeah, very dystopian. So, yes, Leo, I can talk about kitchen witch stuff as long as we understand that it's kitchen witchery and it's for entertainment purposes and not for, it's not a medical anything, if that makes sense. Yeah, it's amazing how we have to pay attention to our words anymore. Oh, yeah, of course, dystopian is no longer on my list. Yeah, dystopia. Dystopia. Yeah, very, very dystopian. Yeah, no, fine, I don't want that. But yeah, it's, the in between place is a place of transition. Transitions are a really big deal when it comes to our dreams because it means we're going, or obviously we're going from one place to the next, or one thing to the next, or one task to the next, or experience or opportunity. And it's important. Just write it down. We'll be right back after the break. lovelies. This is Paisley Wild, and we are off adventuring into the spaces between. Hope you guys are having just a fantabulous day in why. Yes. It's a good day, right? Any day where above the ground is a good day. Yeah, right? Yeah, exactly. But on that note, I think we need some singing bowl. It's been a few weeks since we did singing bowl. I don't know if I know how to do it anymore, do you know? Actually, I'm kidding. It's singing bowl. That bull wanted played today. Holy cow. I don't know. Could you guys hear the different tones in it? Doesn't always double tone, but tonight it was double toning just a bit. Nice. So, yes. And if I do get dinged by YouTube, I get dinged by YouTube. We'll figure it out. Worst case scenario, I have to find a different platform. Which, as long as I'm, I'm going to try really hard not to be too controversial. It's hard, though. It's really hard. Awesome. Leo's going to medieval times. That is so very cool. I wish we had that up here. Right now, yeah. Unfortunately, our Renaissance Festival was canceled due to COVID because, there's a lot of COVID going around. Idaho, unfortunately, has made another horrible entry into a list, and we are absolutely dead last in our handling of the COVID situation. Now, I gotta tell you, some of that is really frustrating because we had a lot of people move into the state this year, and a lot of them brought illness with them. Because they were leaving other places, and Idaho wasn't really shut down for most of this year at all. And as a result, I think the potential for infection was greater because people were not as respectful. And there has been a few times when people were just downright ignorant in the way they've handled things. And yeah. It's, I'm not sure what the right way was. I do know there's been a lot of Monday morning quarterbacking, and I wish we would just move on. This is an endemic situation rather than a pandemic one. And since it's endemic, that means it's going to be around for a while, kids. We need to figure out how to live with it. And, so, that means being the healthiest you can possibly be. Because healthy people, in general, have fewer issues with illness, long-term illness especially. And remember, healthy does not necessarily mean skinny. Healthy means healthy. Your individual weight is specific to you, your body type, your heritage. Unfortunately, I come from strong German stock, which means I have a big frame. We'll leave it at that. And, get healthy. It means lay off the sugars, lay off the carbs. Only eat food that you can pronounce, or that your average 8-year-old can pronounce. And I say it like that because, well, a lot of kids out there can actually use big words and they know how to do it. But get healthy. And when it comes to being healthy and the food you eat, wow, pay attention to the food you eat. There's a lot of there's a lot of food ingredients in the food that's being sold today in the U.S. Without necessarily being food, and we need to pay attention to that. Other countries around the world often have bans on some of the foods that we feel are absolutely 100% necessary to survival, because there's things in there that aren't necessarily good for you, but because they fit the criteria for okay to eat, they've been approved. For instance, there's a bakery in London, I think. I don't know, it's been a while since I read the article, and I was kind of still sick when I did it. But the article basically was talking about this bakery that couldn't, we're having a hard time selling one specific dessert because they used sprinkles on the dessert. It was a chocolate type sprinkle, or a chocolate type dessert with creamy buttercream frosting and sprinkles on it. And the sprinkles made it really, really popular. And they loved the very bright and brilliantly colored sprinkles that you get in the U.S. Apparently, sprinkles for cookies and desserts in England and much of the European Union, they have banned the sprinkles that we use here in the U.S. because they have too many artificial ingredients. And so, people just weren't as satisfied because the colors weren't as vibrant. And this is a real thing. It's a real thing that happened. It's, odd things you read when you're kind of semi-delirious because you're sick. And the article is interesting. It was an interesting article. But basically, our sprinkles have a lot of additives. Well, a lot of our food has additives because Americans, as a rule, don't like to eat ugly food. And since we don't like to eat ugly food, it has to be made prettier. And how do you make something prettier? You add color to it. If you want it to be a little shinier or glossier, you add fats to it, or waxes, or things like that. A lot of the fruits that we eat, pay attention. They're not all clean. I wouldn't go grab a bag of grapes out of the grocery store and eat them on your way home. I would take them home and clean them first. Apples, same way. I actually use Dawn just soap when I wash my apples to get all the stuff on the outside off. And remember, organic. Pay attention to organic. Organic does not always mean good for you either, because there's a lot of naturally occurring chemicals that have been approved to use in an organic gardening and farm situation. So pay attention to what you're using and where you're getting your food. If you can get it from somebody you know, that's better. I generally don't go for organic because of so many of those things that you can use for organic foods are actually worse or as bad as some of the chemicals used in contemporary farming. So just know your people better. Farmers markets are great. They will talk about how they raise stuff or grow things. Neonicotinoids, which are very, very bad for our our honeybees. Yep. That's a naturally occurring plant and chemical that they've been using to spray on your organic foods all over the place. So be aware. Be aware of what you're eating. Be aware of what you're doing. Be aware of where you are. Leo says, you are what you eat. Think about it. Yeah, if you want to eat a bunch of chemicals, that's who you are. So, losing 20 pounds, right? I wish I could have lost a few more, but man, was I miserable in that loss. Couldn't eat. I've been gluten-free for the better part of the last year, and at one point I'm like, you know what? I need some dry toast. Just give me the toast. I just need something to suck on because I needed something in my system. I needed the carbs because I was sick. I was really, really sick, and that was even being. I eat generally pretty healthy. We cook from scratch, generally speaking. I know where my food comes from for the most part. Leo's kind of awesome. Leo and Justin both, they have their own, their own farmstead basically. They know exactly what's going on in their world as far as their food goes that they're growing. A lot of envy there. Didn't have the growing season this year. I had some tomatoes. I had one spaghetti squash the size of my fist. This big spaghetti squash. Yeah. You can't really feed very many people on a spaghetti squash, the size of a fist. Yeah. Just crazy. Just crazy. And, yeah. Lewis says he was taught to scrape the wax off the apples. Yep. Yeah. Food's being shipped further and further because those food deserts are getting bigger and bigger. And they have to preserve them, so they got to do something. A little bit of wax goes a long way. So, yeah, that's awesome, right? Pay attention to what you're eating. Have I... Okay, so I didn't bake a cake for myself for my birthday because I was sick. Oh boy, was I. I love spaghetti squash. Nom nom nom. I had half a ho-ho. I had a ho-ho. Basically, my birthday cake was a Twinkie. Because that was what was in the drawer, and because we have a snack drawer, and a package of ho-hos will last quite a long time. And oddly enough, I had one ho-ho and I barely got the whole thing down because, oh my gosh, there's so much sugar in those things. They put sugar in everything in U.S. foods today. Yeah, you want to be just blown away by what is added to our food? Read the label on your milk carton. Seriously. Or your butter, if you buy butter. Thank you, Paradox. It says milk and natural butter flavoring. Okay, I suppose. But if you look at the different labels, they have all sorts of different things. Sometimes there's stabilizers, sometimes there's this additive or that additive, or salt, or this or that. Yeah, pay attention to what you're eating, kids. Because if you are eating poorly, and the food you eat has more food ingredients than actual food, that impacts the chemical balance within your system and your gut, your digestive system. If you eat a lot of additives and artificial things, as I get ready to drink part of my Powerade. Speaking of additives and artificial things, right? Actually, it's about 1 part Powerade, 2 parts water. I lived on... That's about all I had for 2 weeks. Powerades and water. Those additives and things, they get in our system and they change the chemical structure of our digestive system. They impact the flora and fauna within our gut, and it changes our ability to digest food. For instance, a lot of people who are gluten intolerant and they have a hard time eating bread or wheat-containing foods here in the U.S., they go overseas into Europe, and they go to, say, Paris and have beignet, or whatever bread or whatever, or in Italy, pasta. They don't have the same problems with wheat that we have. A lot of it is because of the chemicals that we use in our growing process. Because we're trying to create more and more food to do more and more things for more and more people across a bigger stretch of real estate. Yeah, it's just... it's interesting. So, yes, pay attention to what you eat. And if you're worried about what you're eating, write it down. And challenge yourself. For the next 24 hours, write down everything that you eat or drink. Just a piece of paper, put in your pocket. A note on your phone, whatever. Everything. The water you drink, the food you eat. And include, if you have a cheeseburger, for instance, I have, put in a teaspoon of ketchup, a teaspoon of mustard, 3 slices of tomato, some onion. some lettuce, whatever it is. Write it down, include it in there, and then go through it and figure. There's apps you can download. There's all sorts of things online you can do to add up the calories that you take in. You're gonna be blown away by the number of calories. One, and two, you'll be blown away by the amount of food you just put in your mouth over the course of a 24-hour period. And if you don't feel like writing it down, you still need to do it. Or write down, it's like, hey, I wanted to eat this thing. Because I want you to track how many times or how often you're wanting to put food in your mouth. It's because a lot of the nutritional quality of the foods that we're eating is decreased, so we feel compelled to eat more often. So it's frustrating. So here I am, 20 pounds lighter after having COVID, and not a diet I recommend. But one I'm kind of enjoying the benefits of. My clothes are fitting a little differently. Some of them a lot differently. My shoes are too big suddenly. I don't get it. Because of the changes that I had to make in my diet, because I wasn't eating, and it took a little bit for me to be able to eat food again. I had broth, and I sucked on some things, like chocolate chips and some candies, just because I knew I needed to get that sugar into my system, because I have sugar issues. I'm hypoglycemic. In other words, I'm overproducing insulin, so my blood sugar tends to be quite low. So yeah, that's awesome. And because of that, I got to pay attention, right? And once I get to a certain point in my blood sugar levels, I pass out. It's just not very good. And sucking on a piece of candy often will fix that sugar crash real quick, so I can get some protein and some better for me. So yeah. Leo says, scared the crap out of me when I did it, and I changed a lot of how we eat. Oh, you wrote down all the food you ate. Yeah, how many times do you go get prefab food during the week? How often do you go through McDonald's, Burger King, Taco Bell, Wendy's, Arby's, Carl's Jr., etc. to get fast food? Or buy fast food at a gas station or a grocery store, prefab food? Which is crazy when you stop and think about it. Then you look at the money that you just spent buying all that prefab food. If you go to McDonald's, for instance, or Burger King, let's do Burger King. You spend $15, you get you get your burger, you've got your fries, you got your soda, whatever, maybe you got a cookie or dessert, or $15. Well, you can buy a lot of food for $15. Did you know that? Seriously. Enough for more than just one meal. You can get a whole bag of potatoes for about $3.50 anymore. 10 pounds of potatoes, $3.50. Here, anyways. I know prices are different all around the world. But potatoes are a superfood. Did you know that? Even though they're a nightshade. It's all the stuff we put on a potato that changes its status as a superfood. Because if all you eat is potatoes, you have all the protein you need, a lot of the vitamins and minerals, because they grow on the ground. There's a lot of naturally occurring minerals right there. And you just do, say, butter, salt, and pepper, sea salt and black pepper, and you use real butter or a vegan version of butter, which just sounds horrible. Ruin everything about butter. It just just what is it you're eating? You pay attention. But yeah, a baked potato with butter, pepper, salt, sea salt. So it's good salt even. Nothing else. Eat that for 6 weeks. 1, he'll be freaking tired of potatoes. I'm sorry. But 2, you'll actually lose weight. The head of the potato council here in Idaho, Washington, I don't know, the region, he did this like a 6-week challenge. All he ate was potatoes. Potato council, right? He had to. And he lost weight. He was kind of a fluffier farm guy, the big strapping lad when he was younger that kind of went soft as he got older. And yeah, he lost weight because it wasn't the potato itself that's bad. It was all the stuff that you put on it. So yeah, pay attention to what you're eating. And there's a lot of good food out there for not a lot of money. You just have to learn how to shop, and you have to pay attention to the way you eat. And often it's not pretty. Often it's not the prettiest food you've ever encountered. But if you season something appropriately, it'll taste good anyways. And it's one of the best things about being a kitchen witch, for instance. I know how seasonings work, so I've had 2 weeks, roughly at least, of not really being able to taste food very well, which has been frustrating, really frustrating, because, like I said, I cook by taste and smell, and but because I know how different things go together, I can still cook. I'm still able to do the things that I want to do, and I still know they're probably going to taste okay because I know how those things go together. And because I am a kitchen witch, I know the benefits, the esoteric or the metaphysical benefits of a lot of those ingredients also. So, yeah, pay attention to what you're eating. If you're having crazy dreams and you're not sick or having to deal with a crisis of some sort, what are you eating? Because I bet you that the foods you eat are impacting your sleep. You're not getting enough sleep? Well, when do you stop eating before you go to sleep at night? Is it, just before you go to bed? Or is it 2 hours before you go to bed? What are you eating? Are you eating something very protein heavy? Or very sugar heavy? If you're having a hard time going to sleep, how much sugar is the food that you put in your mouth just before you went to bed? Because your body wants to burn that sugar off. So, now I know restless leg syndrome, for instance, is not necessarily caused by drinking or eating a lot of sugary type things or sweets before you go to bed. However, they are impacted. I know that if I have too many sweets or something sweet-ish just before I go to bed, I have some issues with restless leg syndrome. So again, it goes back to paying attention to what you eat and what you're putting in your body, because it impacts every part of your life. It does. So on that note, real quick, go to iLife.com. iLife, as I mentioned earlier, it's the official sponsor for Truth Frequency Radio. And if you put in TFR as the coupon code, you'll get a little bit off if you purchase your iLife, because it'll help support you. It's one of those things that's good for you that you put into your system. And just like any other time we've talked about food or health or stuff like that, do your research. I'm not a doctor. I'm not a nutritionist. I don't play one on TV. I haven't stayed at a Hollywood or Holiday Inn Express or anything like that. And but do your research. Talk to your medical professionals. And don't believe the social media peoples out there. And don't take my word for it. What worked for me doesn't necessarily mean it's going to work for you guys. Just like the treatment that I had for COVID. Was it the right one for me? Yes. Did I work with my doctor? Yes. Yes, I did. I did everything my doctor told me to there. And it was a crazy... COVID was a very crazy experience for me. So, pay attention to what you're doing. Write it down. Journal. Are you journaling? Even I've journaled in the last 2 weeks. 102 fevered, can't even figure out why my pen isn't working, and I've still journaled. It took me a little bit, because I was woozing. I fell asleep halfway through it. But yes. So, on that note, here it is. It's the bottom of the hour, our last break for the night, and when we come back, I don't know, see what else we can talk about. If you have questions, by all means, give me a call. That number, again, is 213-233, where'd my cheat go, 3998, or if you're across the pond in the UK, it's 44203-393-2871. Real quick, I want to give a shout out to Sonia. Sonia, my dear, love you, babe. take care of yourself, honey bunch, and do what you need to do to support you and the babes. So, anybody has questions, you got to message me directly. I'm not going to put it all out there. But Sonia could use some love, guys. Yeah, yes, you could. So, on that note, yep, love to Sonia. We're off to break. And when we come back, I don't know, we'll talk about something else. Man, I always forget one of the buttons. Hello, my lovelies. This is Paisley Wild, and we are off adventuring into the spaces between. And holy cow, it's been a good fast Friday night, I gotta tell you. It's been weird, I gotta tell you. Being out for a couple weeks. I think it's been 2 weeks. 2 weeks. Yeah. and it's 3 weeks basically since I did a show of any kind. And on the one hand, it was kind of nice because it is a big time commitment to make sure I have something to talk about for about 4 hours every week, at least. And it's sometimes I just kind of wing it. A little bit of that tonight because I wasn't sure how it was going to flow, honestly. But yeah, it's a little weird. It was weird being gone, weird not being on the air, it was weird not talking to my friends on Facebook, or not Facebook, but YouTube, or Facebook. There for a while, I completely fell off the face of the earth. My mom, love my mom. She sent me a birthday card, and because the U.S. Post Office made all the changes and everything, she wanted to know how long it took for the card to get from her house to my house, right? And so she sends me one message. I'm like, yeah, sure, I'll let you know. A week later, before I even tell her anything. And in the meantime, I got in the card. And so she sends me a message. She's like, I'm assuming you got the card because I haven't heard anything and it hasn't come back. I'm like, sorry, Mom. I got sick. I didn't tell anybody because I didn't have the energy to tell anybody. I was really sick. For anybody who knows me locally, who did actually see me, apparently I was extraordinarily sick. So, the COVID being such an endemic and disease. It's a disease. It's a cold. We have to learn how to live with it, kids. So some of us, that means we don't go outside as much or go visit people as much because we do have some autoimmune issues, which is vexing, very vexing. Or you figure out how to live with a mask, which honestly, I can't wear one now because the whole having a hard time breathing from the COVID and all that. Yeah. Oh yeah, that's been awesome. But whatever it is, you may have to change your lifestyle. You may have to change where you live. You may have to change your job. You may have to change your hobbies. The food you eat, to move through the endemic and learn how to manage ourselves going forward. Because I have a feeling, just like the flu that people are getting vaccinated for, the COVID's going to be around pretty much kind of the same. I don't really see it going away. That's just my opinion. It's not based on fact or research. It's my opinion. And I keep saying stuff like that because, wow, people hypersensitive to anything remotely resembling criticism or false information. Yeah. So here in the U.S., for those of you who are not within the U.S., so here in the U.S., we've got our Constitution, which is pretty cool. And the Constitution made a lot of really good points, but there were some amendments that needed to be made because they're like, oh yeah, we forgot this, oh yeah, and that. And I'm sure our founding fathers, if they were alive today, there'd be a lot of facepalm and WTF moments. But it was the very first amendment that went out and got voted on, and the states all ratified it and became part of our governmental structure, is the First Amendment. It is, Congress shall make no laws respecting an establishment of religion, or prohibiting the free exercise thereof, or abridging the freedom of speech, or of the press, or the right of the people peaceably to assemble, and to petition the government for a redress of grievances. We don't talk like that anymore. In being sick and under the weather, watch a lot of movies. Really glad I had Netflix and Prime and some of those other channels too, Hulu and HBO and all blah. Anyways, National Treasure was one of the movies we watched because Mini-Me loves it. She's an odd kid, I get it. And so in there, the character that Nicolas Cage plays, he talks about, quotes parts of the U.S. Constitution, and people, just don't. People don't talk like this anymore. They don't talk like they did in the Constitution. Some of it is the way we speak. We don't speak Old English anymore. We speak bad English often. We do. And it's interesting how much is in our founding documents that people just don't understand. Like our Fourth Amendment, for instance. It's the right of the people to be secure in their persons, houses, papers, and effects against unreasonable searches and seizures shall not be violated, and no warrants shall issue but upon probable cause supported by oath or affirmation, and particularly describing the place to be searched and the persons or things to be seized. Think about that one for a little bit. Just think about it a little bit. I've watched a lot of quite a few videos of some guy that Don suggested. He solves puzzles. Whoa, he spends a lot of money on puzzles, but they're awesome. And talk about really making you think. Fifth Amendment. People talk about our Fifth Amendment rights ever so often, right? So the Fifth Amendment is no person shall be held to answer for a capital or otherwise infamous crime unless on a presentment or indictment of grand jury, except in cases arising in the land or naval forces or in the militia, when in actual service in time of war or public danger, nor shall any person be subject for the same offense to be twice put in jeopardy of life or limb, nor shall be compelled in any criminal case to be a witness against himself, nor to be deprived of life, liberty, or property without due process of law, nor shall private property be taken for public use without just compensation. Think about that one too. Because there's some things in there that happen. I've been talking about COVID and treatment and stuff and trying to be healthy and such. And, paying attention to what you're eating and, doing your research and just paying attention and all that. And, there's, I guess I have a banner somewhere that got tagged onto my station here because I mentioned COVID in one of the titles of my shows, right? It's because I'm talking about dreams after having COVID. Because I had a crazy one that I talked about, right? Crazy dream. Transitions happening, I think is the big thing there. And a dystopian, very dystopian. But, this is kind of something I do here. I do my show. Is this my only source of income? No. Am I going to ever be rich doing this? No. It's not why I do it. I do it because I like to share the information. I'm holding myself accountable also by doing the show because I need to make sure that I'm doing the research and still learning upon my spiritual path, my pagan path, and learning more about witchcraft and everything else. And I share that information with you guys because I think it's important. And you guys ask me questions and that pokes me in different directions for research and study, and it's all good for me. That's why I do it. Very selfish here. I'm doing this for me, kids. I am, but it's true, and I'm glad you guys are along for the ride. And so if, say, somebody decided to shut down my YouTube channel, right? That's Sixth Amendment. I gotta tell you. There's some hmms there. Yeah. Yeah, there's and do you know what the word enumeration means? Just out of curiosity. I'm skipping around here. I'm looking at the Ninth Amendment. We're going to Google search enumeration. So enumeration is a action of mentioning a number of things one by one. So that's why if you participate in the census, you're being enumerated because you're being counted. So enumeration. So the enumeration in the Constitution of certain rights shall not be construed to deny or disparage others retained by the people. That's an interesting one, huh? Wow. Think about it. Yeah. This is just constitution.congress.gov. I'm getting the stuff from, guys. Here's another one. 10th Amendment. 10th Amendment is the powers not delegated to the U.S. by the Constitution or prohibited by it to the states are reserved to the states respectively or to the people. Yeah, First Amendment too, huh, Leo? Yeah, 10th Amendment. Isn't that interesting? There's a lot of things in here, in the amendments. And I'm saying this quietly, and I'm not being loud and aggressive. I'm trying to not be suggestive. I'm giving you information, and I hope you're thinking about it. That's what I want you to do. I want you to think. It's a challenge that I have for everybody. When you listen to the show and you want to hear what's going on or what I'm changing in my life, or like I said, I'm dealing with the COVID. And I'll probably be dealing with it for a while, judging by some of the symptoms I've got still. And I have a follow-up appointment with my doctor, after the treatment I've received, because that's the responsible thing to do, is make sure you check in with your medical providers. Now, I get it. Not everybody has access to reliable and awesome medical providers, and that's the sucky thing. I don't know how to help there. So I know a lot of doctors have to bow to the pressures from insurance and regulation and pharma, and because of that, they have a hard time being the doctor that they wanted to be when they first started. So, yeah. Yeah. There's a lot of information within our U.S. Constitution and the amendments that you need to it's kind of interesting. 15th Amendment is kind of a big deal. The right of citizens of the United States to vote shall not be denied or abridged by the United States or by any state on account of race, color, or previous condition of servitude. Isn't that interesting? Like he says, interesting show topic for a future. U.S. Constitution, what rights are there for witches? That's actually a really good one. And I would need to get some other folks in and do kind of a round table type of thing, because I think I'm not the only one here that's a witch or a pagan, because it makes you wonder what on earth is out there to help pagans and witches, within the U.S. And so, I think, maybe we'll talk about it tomorrow night. We'll see what happens. I'm in kind of that frame of mind, apparently. Didn't know I was feeling political this evening. I had a good day. I went out for breakfast, watched a movie. We watched Black Widow, which was really good and interesting. And then I went out for dinner and got some... I've already started my Yule shopping because, it's important to get all that stuff done as soon as possible sometimes. That way it's done. Because, as I mentioned very early in the show today, or tonight, are the little woolly worms, the caterpillars. we're in for a doozy of a winter. I want to make sure I got all that stuff done and taken care of, and yeah. Lucky says, ooh, baby, Bitcoin is at $62,000. Wasn't that just spiffy? If you guys do the cash tag, $ TheSpacesBetween, you can donate Bitcoin. That is 100% a possibility. Which, cryptocurrency is, I think cryptocurrency might be an interesting, or have an interesting impact in our future here in the U.S. Do I think we're going to get a microchip under our hand? Oh, hey, I need to pay for my groceries. Oops, scan the wrist. No, I don't think so. However, I do think that there's other things going on, and I think being as prepared as possible is a good thing. So whether that means you diversify yourself, which you should, for crying out loud. Don't ever put all your eggs in one basket. Because if you're like me, someone will be carrying the basket. Probably this person here, this one that's speaking. Yeah, me. And gravity will happen because, yes, I am genetically predisposed to tripping and falling on my face. And which is why I'm not a dancer or a gymnast. Anyways, if I had all my eggs in one basket, I would trip and fall and make an omelet, and it would be bad. So, kind of like I tried to fry an egg the other day, and I grabbed the wrong one, and I cracked it and went to break it into a pan. It was a hard-boiled egg. You can't really make an omelet with a hard-boiled egg. Just saying. So, that's why you have more than one place to put your eggs. Yeah. That's just all there is to it. So, yeah. I'm glad I wasn't trying to use that egg to make, brownies or something, because it wouldn't have worked. So, there is an egg cleanse, it's an energetic cleanse that you can do with an egg. I'm sure you've seen it on TikTok if that's your gig. It's been on Facebook, it's been on YouTube, it's been on Pinterest. It's just this cleansing thing that you can do with an egg. Sure. And you can't do that with a boiled egg. It has to be a raw one. 100% fresh. So, sorry guys, I'm starting to get a little punchy. I'm not used to being up this late. I didn't take a nap today. I'm such a bad person. And my chai tea is all gone. It was good though. I think I need to make more tomorrow. Not tonight. I need to go to sleep. And the sugar crash is happening, yeah. Because I'm going to start getting giggly and goofy. So we have 5 minutes. Ish. So, let me double check. No calls? No. Okay, good. Just making sure, because I don't always pay attention. So I'm trying to. Thank you, Lucky. It's amazing. The COVID diet. I don't recommend it. I've heard some people have lost like 50 pounds, which would be, shoot, I would have to get a new wardrobe if I lost 50 pounds. Holy cow. Not that I would be complaining at all. Just saying. But, so, anyways, yeah, challenge for the weekend. Weekend-ish, 24 hours in the next week, whatever. Pay attention to what you're eating. How many times do you get a prefab meal, whether it's from the grocery store or from Burger King or McDonald's or Wendy's, whatever. We have a Wendy's, brand new Wendy's open in town. I haven't gone yet, mostly because apparently having a Wendy's in town is like the second coming, and of whom I don't know, but I've seen it though, but the line is wrapped all the way around the building. It's insane, and it's just, I kind of want to go, but I don't want to sit in line for that long, because I like immediate gratification. Dang it. Don't we all? But so yeah, Pay attention to what you're eating. Do you know where it's coming from? Are you getting enough rest? If you're not, it'll impact your health. A friend of mine and I, we've been talking off and on about how the medical industry right now apparently doesn't believe that the dental health has anything to do with medical health, which is bizarre because if your mouth is not healthy, often that means the rest of you has got problems because there's so many things that are connected to your teeth and your mouth health that it can really make you sick if you don't take care of your teeth and all that, right? And so, yeah, pay attention. Do you need to go to the dentist? Just ask him. Get your teeth cleaned, because if you've got fillings that are not good for you, it may be time to replace them, or crowns. Like he says, teeth are in the body. Yes, I know, but even the insurance world, medical and dental are two separate. Just medical, dental, and vision. 3 different types of health insurance, or aspects of health insurance that go into your benefits package. 3 different insurance policies. Very rarely are all 3 things considered part of the same insurance policy. It may be a rider or an addition to the original insurance policy, but they're 3 different insurance policies. Often in your benefits package, it's 3 different providers. Blue Cross or VSP, I think, is a very popular vision, or Optum, or Delta Dental, that kind of thing. So, yeah, different insurance for all 3 things, which makes 0 sense because, yeah, if you've got macular degeneration, that's kind of a big thing. Or if you have diabetes and it's making you go blind, diabetes makes you go blind. Yeah, It can also really mess up your leg health, so pay attention to your feet. If you're not paying attention, you go blind. Bad things. So, again, part of the reason why we want to pay attention to what we're eating, because a lot of that food you're eating, how much sugar's in it? Have you ever looked at your label for your jug of milk? How much sugar is in there? Just curious. And just like, if you're not drinking dairy, pay attention to your non-dairy milk replacement stuff. It's not all created equal. For instance, almonds right now are pretty darn expensive, because they are, and so the ability to make almond milk has been really negatively impacted by the cost of almonds and cost of production. So a lot of today's almond milk is a very, very small relationship with actual almonds. Just pay attention. Read your labels. What is it really? Just saying. That's all. So lucky you're funny. So yeah, pay attention to what you're eating. It will impact your health. And even the healthiest person in the world will get sick once in a while. Things will happen because our body breaks down. It just does. And all you can do is do the best you can. Drink plenty of water. When I say water, I mean water, not water flavored with juice or soda or coffee beans or something like that. Drink water, because you need water. I'll say that again, water. Although fruit juices, naturally occurring fruit juices, are better for you than, artificial flavors. So if you really don't like the flavor of water, I get it. Use some frozen fruit. It'll taste better. Get a cucumber. Chop it into cubes and freeze the cubes. Will they end up mushy? Yeah, but we don't care because you're going to put it in your water and it'll flavor your water, because cucumber water is good for you. Actually, cucumbers are good for mouth health. Yep, they cleanse your breath. Did you know that? Cucumber water, or cucumbers? So if you're going out to eat and it's like, woohoo, this is a great date, or you're not sure about the date and you get something with a bunch of onions and garlic and you're like, oh no, there's no kissing in this date. Have cucumber water, make you look highfalutin and fancy when you're at the restaurant. And then afterwards, you eat the cucumbers and it kills that onion smell in your breath. It's amazing, isn't it? There's a lot of stuff out there. You just gotta do your research, write it down, put it in your journal, keep notes. But so yeah, that's it for tonight, guys. It's really thank you for your patience and putting up with me, because yeah, it's been a rough couple weeks, and I think I'm going to go put on my fuzzy jammies and go to sleep and maybe not get up early tomorrow. So thanks for joining tonight. Merry meet, merry part, and merry meet again. You guys have a fantastic evening. Oh, I gotta figure out the buttons.